Hello, Dr. Moore. It's nice to meet you.
Hello, it's great to meet you.
My name is Hyunu. I'm currently the student body president here at Mason, Korea. I'm a second semester sophomore majoring in global affairs. Also the student intern at the Office of Admissions and Enrollment. So it's a pleasure to have you today for our interview.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone that's had me here. It's been a joy so far.
And so, because we do have a very special guest today, and that is Dr. Aluna Moore from the Fairfax campus, who is the Assistant Director of Global Affairs and the Undergraduate Director of Global Affairs. Dr. Moore, would you mind giving us a brief introduction of yourself?
Yes, so I'm a professor in the Global Affairs Department at the Fairfax campus. And we have Global Affairs faculty in Fairfax and here at IGC in Korea. And so we have, I teach classes there and I oversee the undergraduate major, which means I do things like coordinate GLOA 101 because all of us use the same books and the same syllabus. I also advise students and I help oversee the undergraduate major and in all of its functioning.
Yeah, and since this message is for kind of our prospective students as well who want or planning to come to Mason, Korea, Dr. Moore, do you have a message that you'd like to kind of share to some of our prospective students who are thinking about coming to Mason, Korea?
Yes, congratulations on being accepted to MK. This is a great opportunity. I would warmly encourage you to obviously come and join us. You will come to Fairfax in a couple years. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of the Global Affairs faculty, myself, or the director of the Global Affairs Department on all campuses, Dr. Courtney Hughes-Rinker, or any of the faculty here at MK, or the students, or the admissions office, of course. Any of us would be happy to talk with you.
And Dr. Moore, since you are also the Assistant Director of Global Affairs, would you mind giving us a brief introduction to Global Affairs for our prospective students?
Yes, so the Global Affairs major at Mason is different than any other major at Mason. We're kind of exceptionally and uniquely interdisciplinary, and we allow our students to really specialize in their own area of interest. So that is, instead of taking the exact same courses for 4 years, students take this core framework of courses that helps them understand the interconnections of our modern world, and then they choose a specialization. So our students choose among 14 different concentrations. So the most popular concentration at MK, right, is media, communication, and culture. The most popular concentration at Fairfax is global governance, your concentration. The second most popular at Fairfax is probably GEM, global economy and management. Anyway, we have international development and human security and the environment and many concentrations. And so the other exceptional thing about our program is that our students all gain fluency in a foreign language, which if you're Korean, you already know. And that is a language other than English. And so for our American students, they really specialize in particular things like maybe human security and Spanish, or the environment and Arabic. And so they all have the same GLOA core framework of the global interconnections and how we understand these issues. And then they choose a specialization, and that is what leads them into their specific career. Usually it's the concentration and the language that they know.
Right. I mean, personally,
Yes.
I'm a global governance major or concentration.
Yeah.
And it's that strong foundation that comes from the GLOW courses, and you kind of diverge upon your own path that you're interested upon, right, with your courses?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what do you think are some skills or some knowledge that, our prospective students who are interested in the GLOW major should come before their, term at MK? What do you think are some important skills as a GLOW major?
I mean, the reason you go to college, I always tell my students, is to learn skills. If you already knew what you were learning in your class, then you shouldn't be here. But I think there are certain traits that are really important to have, like curiosity, like even when something, especially maybe when something seems off-putting, seeing if we can be curious about it. That is what allows for kind of the open space of an analytical mind, right? Open-mindedness also is essential because we can't kind of assess something in an academic way or with academic criteria or analysis if we're not open-minded about it, right? So being curious about something and kind of willing to learn more and examine it from multiple perspectives and not assume that we already have the answer and that we're right. So those things like will really help any student, but they don't necessarily need to know anything about global affairs because that's our job, right, is to teach that. So you don't have to ever have been outside the country. You just have to have a desire to someday go outside the country, right? So yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And Dr. Moore, why should students choose Mason Korea?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. You can see reasons about George Mason University here on the wall, but the Korea campus also can provide for students if they're Korean, this a kind of experience where you're closer to home and closer to your family for the first couple years, because starting college is a huge transition, no matter where you go in the world. You know, it can make the transition easier. And then your second year, your third year, once you've gotten the hang of college and your major, you can go to the Fairfax campus and you can kind of have the best of both worlds. And so you get a really uniquely international experience at MK. And so for those students that aren't Korean that are considering MK, the big draw is they get to be in Korea, because usually they want to learn Korean and they have an interest in Korean culture, but they want an American degree maybe because they are American or they're from another country and they want a globally recognized degree. And so once you start at MK and you come to Fairfax, there's so many options and choices. So if you take your Mason core courses here and your GLOA core, then you have this foundation. And by the time you get to Fairfax, you can really specialize. So for Mason Korea students that come to Fairfax in the last 2 years, they can participate in the Diplomacy Lab, which is our partnership with the U.S. State Department. They can do original research. You can present that research at a conference off campus or on campus. You can participate in the Arlington Fellows Program, which has a number of different kinds of fellowships, but like Global Policy Fellows, Global Politics Fellows. You can do an internship, and GLOA has been working with the Office of International Student Services and the Career Services Center on helping international students get internships, because obviously it can be a bit trickier with visa issues.
And I guess this is speaking of kind of in the line of internship opportunities and career opportunities as well. What do GLOA graduates do in the future? What careers do they advance onto? Which organizations or which companies do they advance onto?
Yeah, so we have we're located right in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And so most of our students work in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. We call it the DMV. So a number of them work for the federal government. Another student works for the U.S. Geological Survey, et cetera. And so we also have students who set up their own non-governmental organizations, students that are hired by many non-governmental organizations in the area. We have students that work for international governmental organizations. And we also have students that work in the private sector.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Moore, for this interview. Any final or concluding remarks that you'd like to make to our students?
I thank you for having me. It's been a great joy seeing the Mason Korea campus. I hope that you've toured it and you've met some of the current students. It'd be a wonderful campus community to be a part of. I also went to a really small college undergraduate that was only 1,600 students, and so the MK campus feels to me very inviting and warm, because I, as a college student, wanted that small campus feeling, and so this campus is kind of a perfect setting in that way. So thank you all for having me, and congratulations on being accepted to George Mason University.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.